Good morning.
Hi.
It is the best week of the entire year.
It is the best week of the entire year, and I know everybody else is feeling the same way.
Your second favorite podcaster was born.
Who's your first favorite podcaster?
You.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
We're 1 and 2 of these people's favorite podcasters.
That's nice that you put me first.
Yeah.
I love you.
My birthday is tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yep. So
Today is his birthday eve, so we are spending the whole day together because tomorrow we have a lot of stuff going on, so it's not going to be a normal special birthday. So we took today off.
But this is how important all of you are to me. That on my birthday day off,
Yes.
spending time with all of you.
That's right. And we like to podcast together.
We love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of fun talking about today's topic. Some topics are not fun for me, but this one is fun. This is kind of an exciting episode.
It's very appropriate that on your birthday eve, we're speaking about this topic that you enjoy so much and that I do not enjoy because you're like, this is one of my favorite topics. And I'm like, this is one of my least favorite. It makes me a little uncomfortable still.
Because one day a year, I know.
One day a year, you know it's going to be a good day.
I'm going to get some action. One day a year.
So, you excited for tomorrow?
Yep.
You've been anticipating it for
we're setting the mood today. Okay? So.
For tomorrow.
Which is what the episode's about.
Yeah, it's about setting the mood. So, here we go.
You ready to jump into it? Or should we take it slow?
But,
Okay.
I feel like anytime we do these episodes, it's constantly like a lot of work to not have any kind of innuendos.
It's amazing how hard it is.
Yes, it is. Difficult. See, you have to change that word to difficult.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have a dirty mind, so I don't.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I don't even. Wow, that was insulting.
You totally are like a major perv with me.
So I don't even know some of these things you're talking about.
Oh, stop it. That's ridiculous. Okay. Go ahead. Start the episode.
Okay. Let's get
you
things
pure,
started.
perfect man. You.
Thank you. In my tomorrow I'll be 43. In my 43 years of life, I've not heard these things that you're talking about. So.
What an angel you are.
Yeah. Angel of mine. It's a song.
Okay.
We're the Ostracamps. I'm Thomas. This is my wife.
Lysandra.
I said your name regular. What are you laughing about? Why can you not start? That's a question I have a lot, actually.
You have to stop right now.
I'm not.
We're about to start the actual episode. You have to.
I know. But I was ready to go, and you just put a pause on it. So, typical life, I guess.
Hello, and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 158 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to discuss setting the mood for sex. So this is not going to be a child-friendly episode. So if you have the kids in your minivan with you or you're cleaning the house as you listen and the kids are in the next room, you may want to put your earbuds in now. This is your warning.
Yeah, we typically warn our kids before we record an episode like this. Like, hey, just so you know, this is not one you want to eavesdrop on.
Right. Although I think that they are way over your eavesdropping on our episodes.
Probably at this
They're
point.
like,
with episode 158, yeah.
Yeah, they're over it.
But before we jump into today's episode, I just want to share what an encouragement somebody sent to me this week. Yeah. So I was laying in bed one night, and I get a text from a friend of mine, and it says, look what I found at a friend of mine's house. And he sent me a text, and it's a picture, and it's 3 copies of our book,
Happily Never After.
Happily Never After, mm-hmm. which is available in Amazon now. Get yours today. And I was so encouraged by that. First of all, that my friend thought to send me the text. And so he was he's currently transitioning and moving from Texas to Jacksonville. So he's been in Jacksonville for a little while, and he was flying back home to pack up his stuff and bring it to Jacksonville. And so he stops by Luke's house, and Luke has these at least three copies. There were 3 copies sitting there that he purchased, and he gives them away to people.
It's so cool.
So
kind.
I thought that was so cool. But I said, hey, could you let him know to buy 1 million more copies? Because that'd be really helpful.
So make sure that you have your book today. And actually, we had somebody else come and bring a stack of books and ask for us to sign all of them because they wanted to give them out to other couples. Just to help people. So that's really cool.
And don't just buy the book. Here's what's very, very helpful is if you go and review it on Amazon as well.
That would be great. Thank you.
So that would be super helpful. You can help us help others by just simply putting in a review of the book.
That's right.
Good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on in this episode, though, we have to stop everything to say happy birthday to the best person in the entire world. Because today is Thomas's birthday eve, and tomorrow is his birthday. And I'm so happy you were born. I love you. Happy
You
birthday.
might be the only one who feels that way.
I don't think so. I think there are a couple of us.
You and the girls.
Yeah.
All right. If you're out there right now, I want to hear you. Are you happy I was born?
Prove it by saying happy birthday.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, it was very
It's
quiet.
crickets.
That was
real
very
quiet.
That's all right, though. I love you, and I'm glad that you were born.
I'm glad that I'm here with you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Eve.
Eve, yes. But we are celebrating today because tomorrow's going to be a crazy day, so.
But you're important enough to me to spend time on my birthday day off, birthday Eve day off, to record the podcast,
Yes.
spend time with you,
Absolutely.
and share this information.
Yeah. This is a episode that you're going to enjoy. I will enjoy it less. I'm a little more uncomfortable talking about sex than Thomas is, but I'm getting better with practice.
Yeah.
It's a topic that we talk about a lot. I know how important it is, and so therefore I want to talk about it, but it also, I don't know. I'm a prude, I guess.
You still got a few hang-ups, so.
I'm working on it.
So let's get into the conversation today.
All right.
And like we said, we're going to be talking about setting the mood for sex. But sometimes we want what we want when we want it, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If we're not putting time and effort into your relationship, your spouse will not be interested in sex. Intimacy should start long before you ever get to the bedroom. And, there are those who just expect my spouse to be ready to go when I'm ready to go. And that's not always the case.
Yeah, and I think about a conversation we had with a gentleman who he and his wife were at our one of the marriage conferences that we spoke at. And he stopped us afterward and he said, man, I really appreciated that session that you guys just did on sex. Thank you so much for talking about it. He goes, I was just having a conversation with a buddy of mine. And he is frustrated that his wife doesn't want to have sex with him as much as he wants. And he said, dude, what are you doing to put in some effort? Like, are you just expecting her to have sex with you? And he said, like, when was the last time you bought her flowers? When was the last time you did something nice for her? And I was very happy that this guy was trying to encourage his friend to put in a little time, put in a little effort. But in that conversation, it was like, man, this is a good topic for a podcast, talking about like, let's put in a little effort. Let's not just expect to get what we want when we want it.
Exactly. And so that's what this is talking about today.
Yeah.
It's about setting that mood. And the way that I kind of think of it, I think of this in terms of a lot of different areas of my life, like a thermostat. And you want to set the temperature to sex, right? Mm-hmm. The temperature doesn't change automatically.
No.
It takes time to get it there. So
That's right.
Same thing applies here. So
Right, because sometimes it can be icy cold.
Yep.
So you gotta set that thermostat for a little warmer. And we're gonna talk about how to do that.
Okay.
But before we do, why? Why should we do this? Why should we put effort into our relationship, into prepping our spouse for sex, into, giving before we try to get? Why should we do this? So we're going to look at a couple of verses and then dig into it. First of all, Matthew 7:12. So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them.
It's just a great verse to live by.
It is. It's so great. And I know that this is true of you. If you're listening to this, you want your spouse to put a little effort into your relationship, don't you?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And I know that's true for all of us. No one wants to be ignored or mistreated and then approached for intimacy.
Yeah, I mean, that makes you just feel used.
Absolutely.
Like you're just here to use me for my body and that's it.
Right. So we all want a little attention. We want to feel close beforehand. Therefore, we should do that for our spouse. So that's a Bible principle to live by. Also, spending time and effort on your spouse to set the mood shows love. So I think that some people can look at this as manipulation, though. I think a lot of times, though, that perspective is because they've been hurt or abused in the past.
Yeah.
So if their spouse is trying to set the mood by being kind or some of these other ideas that we're going to share in a minute, they can be like, okay, you just want sex. You just bought me flowers to get sex out of me or whatever. But I think that perspective develops because of mistreat in the past or abuse in the past. So maybe that's where you're at today. And you're like, I don't really enjoy it when my spouse tries to set the mood. It doesn't feel good to me. That's a conversation you really need to have with your spouse. And you need to get to the why behind that. Why can you not accept these loving gestures as a way to kind of get you in the mood?
Well, and here's the thing about that to consider is that spouse probably is put in the mood through different things than what their spouse is trying.
Right.
So the way their spouse is going about it, they're feeling manipulated. And that could be, like you talked about, because of their past and what they've been through or whatever else. But it may be something totally different. So for those couples, it's going to be different things that you're going to do to set the mood.
Right. And that's where knowing your spouse comes in.
And that's the other thing. If you only buy flowers when you want sex or only get chocolates when you want sex,
that's
obviously that feels very manipulative.
Yeah.
So
it can almost feel like prostitution.
Yeah.
Like, I'm buying this tonight.
So obviously, if some of these things make you feel manipulated, there's other areas and aspects of your relationship that you need to work on. Mm-hmm. So,
but you have to tell your spouse that.
Exactly. Those are conversations, and that's how you work and develop your relationship.
Yeah, rather than just shut down or be like, nope, closed for business. But the truth is, when we spend time and effort on our spouse to set the mood, it does show love. And we are commanded in Scripture so many times to show love, not only to our spouse, but to others. But how much more important is it for us to show love to our spouse because they're the person who is closest to us? The Bible says, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. That is one of many, many, many times we're told to love one another. So today we are going to think a little bit about the 5 love languages as you set the mood. And we're going to point out the love languages as we go through this episode. Now, here's what is interesting. As we were preparing this episode, we were not trying to make this episode about the love languages. But after it was all planned out, we realized, oh, that's that love language. That's that love language. And so it just came out. And then it was like, wow, yeah, we can really apply that. So that's how that happened.
Oh, now, this is going to be a spoiler for some of you. So spoiler alert. Men are different from women.
Yeah.
And we understand that. But here's the thing. Both genders want attention and effort. Mm-hmm. And obviously there are exceptions to the rule. But for the most part, and you've heard this from different places, men are like microwaves, women are like crock pots.
Mm-hmm. And as far as how fast they get heated up or whatever?
Yes. So they do get heated up at different rates. But as a man, I still desire attention and effort from you.
Mm-hmm. I think that's good for us women to hear, because I think there's kind of a cultural idea out there that men just want sex, period. Like, that's it.
And certainly there are guys out there like that probably I would say maybe not the healthiest of masculinity. Once again, there's exceptions. But if you're in a loving, healthy relationship, you want that attention, that effort. Nobody in a relationship, no matter who you are, wants to feel like they're the only ones who want sex. We want to feel desired. We want to feel attracted. We want to feel wanted in a relationship physically.
And that was a surprise to me in our marriage, because I thought, it's portrayed out there that guys are just all about it all the time, and it doesn't really matter. And so that was helpful information to me, and maybe that's going to help someone else today.
Well, and this is the thing. And if you just think about it logically, if you really love someone, you do not want to make them endure something that they don't want to be involved in, something that's painful or uncomfortable or awkward, right? Mm-hmm. And so if there's only pursuit from one side, eventually that side, if they really love you, like they're going to lose interest because they don't want to put you in that circumstance.
Which is fascinating, because you would think if your spouse lost interest in you, it's because they don't love you. But the reverse is true.
Yeah.
They love you too much to put you in a position that it seems like you don't really want anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder if that's going to blow some minds today. New perspective, right? That's why these conversations are so good and so helpful.
So if you feel like your spouse is not interested, the first thing I encourage people to do is check their level of pursuit of their spouse. That's the first thing I would check. Mm-hmm. What's your level of pursuit?
Okay, so let me say it this way. If Thomas is not interested, or I feel Thomas is not interested in having sex with me, you're saying I should check my level of pursuit of you.
Right.
Right.
Now, I know a lot of times for women, the first area they go is, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not sexy enough, I'm not desirable enough, or whatever, or I'm too fat, or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's often the first area that you go to. And let me just say this, most of the time, that's not what the issue is. Most of the time, that's not it.
It's good to hear that, and I know us women need to hear that. It's hard to accept that, but we got to work at it. Okay, ladies? Got to work at believing that. Okay, so as you go through your day, you can be thinking about what will make your spouse excited about what's going to happen later on. Okay, so how can you help them to think about it? How can you help them be excited about it? And here are some simple ideas of how to set the mood so you're both anticipating what's to come. First of all, flirt. Flirt, flirt, flirt.
And flirting looks different for everybody.
Yes, it does.
Your flirt and my flirt are not the same.
That's true. That's true. Your flirt is sometimes like, well, you think about like a boy on the schoolyard. He like trips the girl and she scratches up her face because she fell on the pavement.
No,
He's flirting.
I don't trip Lysandra, by the way.
No, but I'm saying it's the different ways that boys and girls flirt.
Yes.
It translates into manhood and womanhood as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes your flirting is like, that hurt. Why did you do that? Like he spanks too hard or whatever. And so we have to have discussions.
Or it
about
could
that.
be pushing her in a pool on your 20th anniversary vow renewal.
Yeah. Which Thomas knows how to flirt because that's the way of his flirting is like pushing me in the pool or
we do have
dunking
boundaries.
me.
We know our boundaries.
We know our boundaries. And how did we figure out those boundaries? I
went too far.
You went too far. Then I'd be like, okay,
that's too far.
That was too far. So I don't care that he pushed me in the pool, and he knew that I wouldn't care as long as it was at the end.
We'd cut the cake and got the pictures, yeah.
Cut the cake. All the pictures are done. We've had time with family and friends where I'm not drenched and soaking wet. Everything has been wonderful. It's kind of the end of the day. Then he knew he could push me in the pool. What was funny, though, is he didn't know that I was standing there with my phone recording the kids playing a game in the pool. And so I'm recording the kids, and he pushes me in. So we actually got it recorded on video, but from my perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny.
It was funny. So flirt. flirting looks different for everybody, yes, and figure out what flirting is good. I would say that you and I have this down pat. We flirt all the time.
Yeah.
Constantly. The only time we don't flirt is when we're upset with each other, and then we both, as quickly as possible, find time where we can resolve the situation so we can be back to our normal flirty selves.
Yes.
Because neither of us like it when we stop flirting and when it's tension and everything.
Yeah. If flirting's not going on, it's like, okay, something's up. I may not know what it is. I'll find out soon. I may not know what it is, but I know something's up.
Right. And you can use touches. So there's where a love language comes in. Physical touch is a love language. And you can use really like gentle, soft touches to flirt and create sexual tension. Or it might be a gentle spanking.
Yeah.
It feels weird to say that into a microphone.
I never thought I would hear you say that in the microphone. So
as it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, what are you about to say?
Now that happens to you a lot.
Constantly. Like 6 times as we were setting up the podcasting equipment this morning, I think.
I'm like, what are you saying right now?
Well, you just spank me all the time. Should I not say that out loud?
That's not what I was talking about at all.
What
I was
were you
talking about your words getting you into trouble all the time.
Oh, yes.
Like things just come out.
That happens. Yes. That happens all the time. And spanking happens all the time.
So, people have learned a lot more today than they probably wanted to
They have a lot
already.
of information.
And we're literally only like 15 minutes into the episode.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what to say. Like, things get away from me, and pretty soon it's recorded for a lifetime.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing, and you've touched on this.
Nice.
Like that?
Nice.
Flirtatious touches can help you and your spouse anticipate your time together later, which helps that time to be more intimate.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And one of the things we do in our flirting is we joke with each other in a sexual way.
Yes. And it is hilarious and exciting.
And it happens constantly. And flirting can be as simple as winking at them across a crowded room. Mm-hmm. And we do that.
Yeah, which is really, I don't know, it's like romantic.
We're often kind of looking at each other wherever we are, looking for each other constantly.
The eyebrow raises.
Yeah.
You know, like a quick quick eyebrow raises.
Show YouTube just so they can see what you're talking about. So, you guys, a little something special for our YouTube subscribers there.
Oh my.
But it could be you brush up against them in your house. So I rarely walk past Lysandra in our home or in public without touching or brushing up against her. And my favorite way to do it is basically like, you know how you'd normally just walk around a person and not touch them at all?
Yes, normal people do that.
So when I walk past Lysandra, I try to see how much of me can touch her.
Right.
As I walk by. And this is my usual response. Yeah, pardon me, madam.
Yeah. He's like, oh, excuse me, ma'am. He's like completely brushing up against me. So yeah, that's flirty. It's a way to use flirtatious touching all the time.
And of course, physical touch, and Lysandra, you mentioned this, is a love language.
Yeah.
So in addition, look for opportunities to hold hands, hug, kiss to stay close and connected. And the thing is, you're connecting physically throughout the day. So it's not just the only time I want to be with you physically is when I want to have sex.
Right.
Because once again, that makes you feel cheap. It makes you feel used. It makes you feel disconnected. So we're looking for contact points, literally, all throughout the day. Where it might be as simple as a hand, like right now, a hand on your back.
Mm-hmm. Which feels loving.
And just a simple, loving touch. Mm-hmm. So some of the contact, yes, is sexual in nature. That's part of the flirting, but a lot of it is not. A lot of it is just simply connecting physically and developing that connection. And that's the thing. As you connect physically in all these different ways throughout the day, your sex is going to be so much better later on.
And we really want to recommend a book to you. Kingdom Marriage by Tony Evans, Dr. Tony Evans. There is a chapter in there, I want to say chapter 8 or 9, that talks about sex. And he has a whole page or so, maybe page and a half, that talks about the value of kissing. It's just so good. It talks about how intimate a kiss is. he, what's the word I want to use? He suggests that kissing is more intimate than sex itself.
Yeah, I disagree with that, but
he suggests that. Anyway, read it for yourself. It's a good book anyway. All the other chapters are good too, but this particular chapter kind of hits on this subject about setting the mood.
So kind of an illustration of the physical contact throughout the day, you think about a song and the way that most songs go, whatever the genre is. Mm-hmm. Most songs kind of build up to a crescendo.
Yes.
And that's kind of the way that you think of your physical touch. Mm-hmm. Is your physical touch is building to a crescendo. Obviously, that crescendo is your physical sexual time together. And then after the crescendo, typically the song doesn't just stop. Right? Then it kind of lowers back out, and
there might be a tagline at the end.
Yeah. And the songs that make you feel the best, that's how they kind of work. They build up towards a crescendo, and then they ease you back off of the crescendo. And so on both sides of that crescendo physically, you think about how important that is.
Yeah.
Now we're only focusing today on setting the mood where we build towards that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just going to throw this out there. Don't neglect the physical contact after sex, because once again, that can make the other person feel a certain kind of way as well. So
yeah, used or rejected. Mm-hmm. Good point. Okay, so giving your spouse your complete attention can set the mood. And this may not necessarily be something that you would have thought of first of all. I think flirting and sexual touches is like kind of obvious, right?
Yeah, we're all aware of that. Mm-hmm. We may not be conscious of it throughout our day to do that, but when we talk about flirting, most of us think that, okay, that's probably where it's going to go.
Right, exactly. Which is also why we say don't flirt with anybody but your spouse.
Exactly.
Because that's where it goes, right? Okay, so complete attention, and this is going to kind of lead into some quality time aspects of the love languages. But nobody wants their spouse to be in bed next to them, ignoring them by scrolling social media, watching TV, playing video games, then all of a sudden just roll over and try to start things up.
Yeah.
I should say most people.
Most people, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes I don't mind that, but that's usually because we've been flirting all day.
Like we said, there's exceptions to every rule.
Right, exactly. But don't do this to your spouse, okay? If you do this, if you ignore them, you're scrolling social media, watching TV, playing video games, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, let's do this. A mood has already been set, but it is not a mood for sex.
No, you're setting that temperature cold.
Yeah, cold. Resentment. They're going to have resentment. They may even be like, okay, fine, let's do this. But how fun is that?
Yeah, that's definitely a response you want. Okay, all right, let's do
fine.
this.
Yeah, so you don't want to set that mood. That's not the mood you're trying to set. That's resentment. So rather, give them your time in a quality way without distractions. And this is a way of using the love language of quality time to set the mood. So here again, you got to know your spouse. What is quality time to them? It looks different to everybody, and we've talked about this on other episodes. But you have to know what is important to them and how they want you to spend their time.
And this is a conversation Lysandra and I had just literally yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So the girls had a volleyball game yesterday, and we'd done a paint job and hadn't had lunch, Lysandra and I. So we talked about, hey, let's drop the girls off at the game. There's
the practice.
Yeah, they're getting ready for the game. So we have a maybe 45-minute window when we drop them off and got to be back for the game. So there's a Wendy's just literally a couple minutes away. So we went to Wendy's and
for lunch at 4:00.
Yeah. And grabbed something real quick. We sat there and had a conversation. Lysandra shared with me the fact that she felt like I was not giving her that quality time at certain points where I am paying more attention to my phone or something else rather than her not setting it down and talking with her. And so just because you have a conversation about something once doesn't mean you won't have to have that same conversation again. There are going to be discussions that you have to have.
Yeah, because we all fall back into our same old habits, all of us.
And so this might be a conversation that you need to have. We literally had to have this conversation yesterday. So making sure that you are giving them that quality time that they need. And of course, our conversation yesterday really had nothing to do with sex. It was more our relationship. But if we don't take care of it and have those conversations, then it will affect our sexual relationship as well.
Right. And I can't just sit there and be like, being angry and angry and angry, and it just builds and builds because he won't give me the attention that I want or put down the phone when I'm talking to him or whatever. That conversation has to be made. I have to say it. And I had to wait until I could say it in a nice, kind way at the right time when it was just the two of us. And so I do recommend, like, if you need to have that conversation, make sure that it's done in the right way. So quality time can also look like date nights.
Yeah.
Time away, like vacations, trips, couples, things. It could be dancing. It could be taking your spouse dancing.
Or it could be staying home.
It could be staying home. Okay, so I am actively working to convince Thomas to take me dancing sometime, which both of us cannot dance. We're horrible. And
speak for yourself. I'm amazing.
He is actively trying to get me to not want to go dancing and to stay home. But quality time might look like cuddling. It might look like sitting on the couch, having coffee together on your patio. Quality time can look like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What's your quality time?
I really like, my favorite quality time we spend together is walking on the beach. Walking together on the beach, which you don't really care for.
That's not true.
You want to lay down on the beach and go take a nap.
I love a nice walk on the beach. If there's just like a lot of conditions.
Yeah, there are. If it's level enough,
it's
if it's
level.
not too hot,
it can't be too fast because I can't keep up with your pace. I don't like it when the sand sinks in. Like, I want it to be a packed, flat beach.
So it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole
this
thing.
one over here.
And then I'm like, I'm tired. I want to take a nap because I love naps on the beach. It's my favorite thing. Yeah. But I will work on walking on the beach.
Quality time could be taking a drive and listening to the radio and singing together, and having conversations in the car.
Right. And if we're talking about specifically quality time for setting the mood, it could be love songs on that radio.
Yeah.
Thinking about that.
So quality time is going to look different, but quality time must include your full attention.
It must.
Otherwise, it's just not quality.
Yeah, it's time, but not quality time.
All right, so let's talk about verbally setting the mood. Now, we talked a little bit about flirting and some of those things that we say, but what about words of affirmation?
Yeah.
How important those words of affirmation are. So you want to give your spouse plenty of compliments. And when we talk about compliments, we're talking about truths.
Yeah.
Right? So if you tell your spouse something that's untrue and they know it's untrue, obviously that's going to cause some issues. But you're looking for things to appreciate about them. And it could be their hair, their eyes. It could be, Now think of how you want to compliment them. I would not recommend writing out Song of Solomon to them in the way that Solomon describes his love. Is quite comical.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't
tower.
have the verses in front of me, but I'm like, if I said any of those things to Lysandra, she would be highly offended.
Yeah, something about a giant nose.
So it was just like
other things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was comical. Mm-hmm. I'll find that portion of scripture and I'll post it in our Facebook community group. But think about the way that you compliment them, right? Yeah. And one of the great things about complimenting somebody is it's so powerful, especially when you get so specific.
Yeah, specific is best.
Yeah.
Like you look nice. That does nothing.
Not for you, it doesn't.
No, I'm like, everything looks nice.
Not everything.
Like, everything's fine. Whatever. Now, if you say, like, oh, you're fine.
Yeah.
Wasn't that from, like, the 90s when people were, like, fine?
I don't know.
I don't know.
What you're talking about.
You do, too.
I really don't.
You really don't?
No.
Somebody said that must have been something from a movie or something. It was like a thing.
Maybe it was just something your parents did. I don't know.
I don't know. No, not my parents. Anyway, okay. So being specific is great. The other day, what you said something about my eyes. Do you remember what you said about my eyes?
I don't.
Captivating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, they really caught my attention. They catch my attention a lot, but they caught my attention because the way the sun was coming from the side, and it caught, your eyes just popped with that, like, powerful blue. And it was, like, electric, and I'm, like, just captivated.
Yeah, which isn't that the sweetest thing? Oh, my goodness. I was like, okay, let's go.
And that was not... Yeah, and that was the result. That was not even the intention. It was literally just, it caught my attention right in that moment.
But because it was honest and real, he wasn't lying or trying to get anything. He was just being honest, and he said something so specific. It wasn't like, your eyes are nice. Like, you can see the difference between saying something is nice and something just captivating. Like,
and then explaining why.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
was really romantic. So, nothing will get me in the mood like words. I don't know about everybody else, but that can work for your spouse. If you know your spouse, that may be the thing. Talking about parts of their body specifically.
Yeah.
Can work.
So here, when we're continuing this idea of using our words. So you can talk dirty with a whisper in your spouse's ear.
That happens in our relationship a lot.
So if you see Lysandra lean over and whisper in my ear, it's probably not something dirty.
Probably not something dirty?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it usually?
Now, if it's me whispering in your ear.
Of broccoli in your teeth.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be broccoli. Cheese.
Or you could shoot him a text. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a thing now.
Now?
Yeah.
Like it just started?
Yeah. I'm 42, so.
Yeah, but we've been sending texts to each other for like years.
Yeah. Since we first started texting.
Yeah, since we learned how to text.
We were already married at that point, but.
Yeah.
So sexting can be like a great thing. Mm-hmm. Now, I do caution you.
Yes.
You always double check who you're sending it to.
Yep.
So we have received a few texts from people that did not intend to send it to us.
Yes.
We've not yet, at least I've not, sent one to somebody I was not intending to.
I haven't yet either.
But it's always comical when that happens and you just try to pretend like you didn't see it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't see anything. But here's the thing. I've sent texts to the wrong people. But it was never anything risque.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how when you send the text to the wrong person, you're immediately panicking? Like, what did I just send?
Yes. But anytime I am going to send you anything risque, I check your name like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So that's why I've never sent anything risque. But
Yeah.
I'm very careless with just meaningless texts.
But that's the caution I'm putting out there is it can be a great thing, and I love getting those texts. But make sure you double, triple check.
Or sometimes you could set the mood by requesting a certain kind of text or a certain kind of picture.
And there are times where I do that.
Mm-hmm. And that can set the mood because that makes you feel like someone's interested in you.
Thinking about you and desiring you and all those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Don't forget the thoughtful, loving texts or the texts that show appreciation.
Good point.
Because those can also help to set the mood. When we think about sending text or whispering in somebody's ear, we often go straight to the sexual, which, hey, that's great. If you're comfortable doing those sorts of things, go for it. Mm-hmm. But don't neglect the other things as well, because there is great power in setting the mood with those sorts of texts and words as well.
Yeah, so like if Thomas came up to me and whispered in my ear and was like, You're such a good housekeeper.
That's powerful.
I would be like, let's do this.
You're such a good housekeeper.
Let's do this.
And it's been a great show today. We'll see you next week.
We got to go.
But this is where knowing your spouse is important. So, does your spouse feel turned on by dirty talk, or do they feel offended? And you need to know where that line is, because there's certain things that I can text and say to Lysandra that she appreciates, enjoys, it sets the mood. There is a line where I can say things that, no, that's no longer setting the mood. That's just disgusting. So, if they feel offended, then verbalize compliments and appreciation instead. Just think about your spouse and what is it that they want to hear.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How about this one? Creating an environment where it's easy to enjoy sex. It can set the mood.
Yeah.
Thomas, what environment would be difficult for you to enjoy sex?
Probably a house that is just overcrowded with clutter, and like I'm talking overcrowded, and where I don't like that environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And messy and cluttery.
Okay. I know another that I actually didn't think about that. I was thinking about something else.
What?
If like the kids are right next door, like right outside the door. That makes it difficult. Yeah.
It makes it difficult to really fully enjoy.
Yeah, because you're just like, worrying about the kids. So how can you create an environment where it's easy to
getting rid of the kids
sex?
Might be one of the...
Could be that.
Which is why we talk about getting away, yes. Going on a weekend trip or overnight or a week-long vacation or whatever it is. Yeah. But getting that time away.
And we've heard people kind of, how do I say this? Brag, I guess is the only word I can think of, about the fact that they've never been without their kids. Like, they've never sent their kids to a babysitter. Grandma's never babysat. And I don't really feel like that's something to brag about. I feel like that's really can be detrimental to your relationship, and therefore it's detrimental to your children. Because if our marriage isn't strong, then it's going to affect our children.
You just have to think more about how you're going to get that time alone together that is safe and...
Yeah. Undistracted time.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're not saying that you have to have your kids out of the house in order to enjoy sex.
No.
At all. But hopefully you get what we're saying here. So I know for me, if my house is dirty, I really cannot enjoy any part of my life, and it distracts me from everything, and I will feel that even in sex.
So if there's like 2 dirty dishes in the sink, and we're upstairs and trying to get things going, she has a hard time focusing because she knows there's dirty dishes.
I want to say it's not that bad. It probably used to be that bad. I feel like I'm getting better. I'm not getting better. You're looking at me like, no, you're not.
I'm just saying that's your mind goes. It makes it a lot more difficult for you to stay focused and be in the moment.
Yes. And I'm going to say that there are a lot of other women like that, but it may be that there are men like that. It is. It's really difficult. I feel like there's got to be some women who are listening to this right now who are like, I know, Lysandra, me too. Thank you, guys.
So one of the ways, guys, you can set the mood, wash those 2 dishes.
Whoa.
Wash those 2 dishes and you see how fast that temperature goes up.
It's like starting the microwave.
Yep. Send her a little picture.
Yeah.
You without shirt on, washing the dishes.
Ooh, suds.
Yeah.
I'm picturing suds.
Exactly.
And long rubber gloves, but no shirt.
Yep.
This is going to be nice.
See, that's the thing. You know your spouse and you know exactly what picture to send.
Yep.
That's it.
You got to know him though, right? So this actually can kind of fall under the category of acts of service. Cleaning up your house as an act of service to set the mood. Or maybe it's getting a sitter for the kids and you've surprised your spouse and you're like, hey, I got a sitter. What do you want to do tonight?
Yep.
Set the mood. Okay. It might be being the one who gives the kids early bath and bedtime, depending on what age your kids are. Maybe you're going to set the mood by doing that bedtime routine so that your spouse can just relax and be calm and know that the kids are taken care of and be ready for sex.
And that's what we're talking about. If you can't necessarily get away from your kids for whatever reason, you're making sure you have that time alone that's undistracted. So rather than like pushing it off on your spouse, you take the initiative and, all right, I'm going to get the kids showered up and cleaned up and ready for bed and do all this stuff so that we can have this time together.
Right. And there are times when I know as a mom, and I'm sure that this can translate into other families where, you know, it's a stay-at-home dad or whatever else. But when I was a stay-at-home mom and my kids were really little, I was exhausted. I was so exhausted, like, all the time. I mean, I tried to nap when they napped and all that kind of stuff, but you're still just very worn out. You're pregnant, you're nursing, you're mothering these little children. And there were times when, like, yeah, I would love to have sex, but I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired. But if Thomas would come home and be like, I'm going to give the babies their baths and I'm going to put them to bed, you just be in our room, rest. So rest, or even maybe have a little nap.
Yeah.
As the bedtime routine is happening without me, then that environment is created where I can enjoy sex that night. So just think about that, guys. Think about that, women. If
and it gives her time to slip into something a little less comfortable.
Yes, exactly. I'll bathe the kids. You change. Whatever that may look like, okay? So think about what kind of environment will set the mood for your spouse, and then do what you have to do to create it.
And then you can set the mood by getting your spouse flowers or chocolates. And I just want to say this, wives out there, men like chocolate too.
Okay.
We like chocolate too.
Yeah. I know. Isn't there this like a stigma where like the men are supposed to show up with the flowers and chocolate?
Yeah.
You
Where's my chocolate?
You want chocolate?
Where's my chocolate?
You know what? I didn't get you chocolate. I got you flowers.
Ooh.
Hope that's okay.
I'll allow it.
Would you have sex with me if I got you flowers?
Yeah. That would work.
Okay. And then I can enjoy the flowers.
You buy me a bouquet of celery and
I got you this. Want to go to bed?
Yeah. Sure. By the way, celery is my probably one of the least foods I like in the world.
Beets.
I would much rather eat a pickled beet than I would a piece of celery.
No.
Oh, yeah.
You're lying right now.
I'm not lying. I do not like celery.
Fine.
So.
I'm offended right now.
But we often buy each other special, thoughtful presents, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You could buy lingerie or other items to spice up the bedroom and give your spouse a sexy gift in the morning to anticipate the activity later in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good idea. But it doesn't have to be, these typical things. We've talked about this many times on the podcast, but like for Thomas, if I come home with the Red Bull of his favorite flavor,
then I'm always like, wait, are we tonight? This is for tonight? What is this? Yeah. Is this a message you're sending me?
Right.
Are you setting the mood?
Or how many times have we been on a date and you're like, you didn't think this dinner was free, did you?
Yeah.
But we can joke like that because we know that the boundary isn't there, so it's okay to joke like that.
Yeah.
That might not be funny in your relationship, but do something nice, like get a gift, and giving gifts is one of the love languages as well. So you can get gifts that are suggestive, or even just nice things.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be suggestive. It could just be thoughtful, because
and it should never be the same thing all the time, right? You do want to mix it up. You want to throw different things in there between thoughtful and spicy and whatever else.
Yeah. And just keep in mind that thoughtfulness can set the mood as well. It doesn't have to be sexual to set the mood.
Right.
Thoughtful sets the mood. So keep that in mind. How about being physically close to your partner in a way that is, I want to say the word harmless.
Because it's never harmless.
Not with you.
No.
Who was it that said that you need to give your spouse a non-sexual hug every day? Do you remember who that was?
It was so many times a day. I don't remember who it was. They had a number of times a day, and I was like, how was that even possible one time?
Yeah, I'm like, I've never had a non-sexual hug from Thomas. I don't know what that was like. Who was that? Oh my goodness. It's somebody who's famous that like speaks on. Could it have been Dave Ramsey?
No.
I feel like it was. I've got to be wrong.
I don't know what.
All right, we need to look that up. But yeah, even some ways that like snuggling on the couch. Maybe you're both reading or scrolling Facebook or whatever you like to do.
Yeah.
It could be that. Which I think that kind of hits more than one love language if we're talking love languages.
Yeah.
Because that's quality time. It's physical touch. It's maybe an act of service for those of us who have a hard time sitting.
Yeah.
But snuggle up and enjoy just that physical touch to feel more connected. And maybe schedule.
Well, with the physical touch, and we've already talked about this already, whether it's cuddling or hugging or whatever, like the natural tendency is to...
It goes places.
Yeah. It leads further down the road.
Yeah, it does.
And then schedule sex.
Yeah, that can set the mood for sure.
You can schedule it. Like, hey, your birthday's coming up, so why don't we put it on the schedule?
Yeah. Well, it's been 360 days.
364. I've been counting. And so
I guess you're due.
So it's on the schedule so that for 364 days I can set that mood, anticipate it, right? And I know some people are like, but scheduling sex that just kills the spontaneity and whatever else. And I think it does obviously with spontaneity, but I think it does the exact opposite as far as killing the mood, because you're anticipating this, you're looking forward. So you're talking about it with each other. You're sending the text about tomorrow or tonight or whenever it is. Mm-hmm. And you're building that anticipation. Mm-hmm. So that when finally that time comes, it just, to me, it elevates everything.
It's like, oh yes, it's finally here.
Now, I wouldn't want all of our sex to only ever be scheduled.
Yes.
Right? We're having sex more than just that, but we're talking about setting the mood for sex. So putting it on the schedule and talking about it and all those other things does help to set the mood there.
So if it's on the schedule for tonight, then what you can do is you can spend a lot of time during the day with text going back and forth, starting with this line. I can't wait to, and you fill in the blanks. Go back and forth with it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, by the end of the night, you're ready to go.
And you start to send each other suggestive photos or whatever else. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll work. Trust me.
So we'll talk about family meeting tonight. All right. This is not an entire family meeting.
Yeah. Your kids don't want to be there for this family meeting.
Okay. This is just you and your spouse. But just sit down and discuss the best way for you to set the mood for your spouse. Now, I can almost guarantee that just sitting down and having this conversation about setting the mood is going to set the mood. Okay?
That is true.
So think about that when you go to have this conversation. Make sure you have time together after the conversation. Schedule it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you need to like put the kids to bed first or whatever, think about that, because almost every time we discuss this topic, it has set the mood. So think about it. Just have the conversation about what's the best way to discuss, to set the mood for them, and then what's the best way for them to set the mood for you. Most likely those answers won't be the same. And you can kind of just discuss some of the different things that we've talked about here, or it may be something that we didn't talk about at all. But for you, that's the thing that really sets the mood. So I think this is one of those family meetings where you're not dreading having the conversation. It's like, okay, babe, family meeting tonight.
Let's do this. Exactly. All right. Well, we've ended with our family meeting. I feel like we have done a nice job of keeping our G rating for this topic.
Yes.
We were careful.
It was difficult.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, friends. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org. Or maybe you'd like to schedule us to come talk at your next conference, event, or retreat. We have 3 events already scheduled for 2024, so we're looking forward to those. We'll have more information available later on. But if you want to do that, you can shoot us an email at info@familymeeting.org or call us and send a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we talk about how to respond when your child rejects your authority. This can happen as soon as they're old enough to walk, and it'll pop up at different times through their senior year at high school and through graduation. So what do we do when it happens?
That can be difficult. Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
Thanks for joining us today. This was an exciting episode.
Wow, I see what you did there.
I'm not lying.
Nope, you're not.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments if we missed something. Maybe you've got an idea or a tried and true method to set the mood. Let us know what that is.
I'd be interested in adding those things to my list, so.
I mean, your repertoire.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. Have a wonderful week, you guys.